We're live. Welcome in. It's Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Minot Talk. I forget how well the transitions work when I do them right. Unfortunately, Jonathan is away. He had some family stuff to deal with out west on the West Coast, so thoughts, prayers with him. But I am joined by newly elected Mayor Mark Jantzer. Thanks for stopping by today, Mark.
Hey, my pleasure. It's good to be back with you again.
I know. We finally get to have a chance to do a one-on-one. We've never had the opportunity yet.
This is the first.
I know.
This is the first.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, thanks.
Last Tuesday, obviously, election night, you just got elected to mayor with the whole special election situation that happened. We won't dive too much into the depths of that, but let's talk about the night itself. How was election night for you? Where did you guys spend it at?
Well, so prior to the evening, I was actually fortunate to be invited to dinner on the prairie, which is an event that happens every other year in the community, and it's a great chance for people from the city, leaders, some of our military friends from the base, to get some exposure to producers and what they do and how they operate their farms and ranches and whatnot. So that was great. Fortunately, the weather cleared out.
Yeah.
We got to have it outside.
It was a perfect night for it, frankly.
It turned out to be a perfect night for it. A little breeze, but just gorgeous. And the first part where you walk around and talk to the producers at their booths is very educational, very interesting. They're wonderful people. And then you have a meal, which is sort of like a wedding reception style operation, but it is outside on a mowed field, and it's a pretty cool thing. And the food was fabulous. So
can't beat good food.
Nothing wrong with that. And so I did leave that event, and then we actually headed over to Arnie's.
Downtown.
Downtown, yep, 2.0. Kind of right on 3rd Street and Central Avenue there. And so, this got to be about, 8 o'clock. I mean, and there were no results yet. So we were kind of hanging out with some of the folks that helped me with my campaign primarily, and a couple of friends. And so one of the news reporters had said, where are you going to be? And as
soon as she got the results, she could just beeline it there then.
Yeah, well, and as it happened, when I was coming down 3rd Street, I saw that, across from the courthouse in the parking lot, there was like one car, and it was a
news car.
So I thought, okay, and
she had the right idea there,
because the ballots had to be brought from the auditorium where the voting took place to the county where the scanner operation took place, and so anyway, so camping out at the courthouse was actually an astute move, and I got a call then towards 8:30, and she said, are you at Arnie's? And I said, yeah.
I'm on my way.
We don't have any results yet. And she said, well, I have results.
I just got them.
And I'm coming to see you.
Well, that's a fun way to figure it out.
So that was great.
Yeah.
And then did a couple interviews. My phone started ringing and
it's going off,
popping. So that was a crazy night. We had another beverage or whatever, and then I got home, but I was up late, like 1:30 in the morning, answering texts,
replying back,
putting hearts on congratulatory comments that people had made. So it was fun. I mean, it was a lot of fun.
That's good.
But then I had to be at the chamber at 6:30 the next morning to take off for Devil's Lake for a North Dakota military summit. That is an annual thing that that I go to, and so. So it was a short night, but
well worth it.
So
I imagine
you can catch up on sleep. It's not that critical. So.
If not the night of, you got that next night. Wednesday night, you figured it out. That's fantastic. Let's talk about how was that event that you went to in Devil's Lake with the military.
It was really good.
Was it good?
So this was people from all over the state.
Sure.
A number of state agency folks, obviously. General Dorman, retired, is the head of the State Military Commission as being the governor's chief of staff.
Sure. Okay.
And so we had. Al was there, and then a number of other people from the Guard, the Vice Adjutant General.
Okay.
General Huber was there. So we had a whole bunch of people, and we had great representation from Minot. Both wing commanders from Minot Air Force Base.
Fantastic.
Their chiefs, and then a couple of the spouses were there as well, because there was part of this program was a panel of military folks. And
sure.
So the chief from the North Dakota National Guard Army side was there as well. So it was good. It was a great meeting. There are a number of issues that group is working on. Mental health providers for TRICARE.
Yep.
Being a big one. And then just we kind of did a after action report on the bills that had been on the watch list for the military, and there's now a military caucus in the legislature.
Okay.
So that's kind of a new and growing thing, and that's helpful. But it's the governor's goal, as was Governor Burgum's goal, to make North Dakota the most military-friendly state in the union. And
for sure,
we are working on that, and we're on the road to making that a reality if it isn't already. So
I love to see that, especially here in Minot. Such an impact that the base has on Minot, so monetarily, community-wise, just from the sheer vast amount of people that come from the base. It's one of Minot's biggest assets, for a fact.
Absolutely, and of course with the modernization that is ahead of us with the B-52J model. Yep. And the Sentinel missile system replacing the Minuteman IIIs. There's more of that to come, and
are there any updates on
things? Without
a doubt, are there any updates on that timeline with the Sentinel program?
No, not specifically.
Sure.
There's going to be a town hall if people are interested. There's going to be a town hall here in Minot. I believe it's on the 26th of this month, and so we expect that we'll learn some additional information at that time.
Okay.
And since the Nunn-McCurdy pause, Northrop Grumman and the Air Force are now back at this hard press, and working through some of the details, and there are pieces to that are beginning to emerge.
Sure.
And when they started that, they told us 12 to 18 months, and so we're not quite at the 12-month mark, so they're not quite into their window yet. But I would expect to hear some additional things at the town hall about what the directions are.
Is that open to the public?
I believe it is, yeah.
Perfect. And that's coming up at the end of this month, so we'll definitely be looking into that. We'll be following along for sure. That's a big event for Minot. That's going to bring a lot of people up here for construction, long-term, more permanent housing people. I'm sure will be involved with it. It's going to be a big thing over the next few years.
Yeah, there are a number of aspects to that whole process. And, as the folks from the Air Force and Northrop Grumman, the primary contractor, point out, we haven't done this before.
Sure.
We've put the Minuteman system in place.
Yep.
But we've never had the challenge of having to keep one legacy system operating at full capacity, full on alert, and put in a new system at the same time.
Yeah, all simultaneously.
So that, it adds layers of complexity that are difficult and it's extremely important to maintain our nuclear deterrent while we're getting through this. So
it's one of those things that it's as much as you plan for it, until it starts to go and happen and the ball starts rolling, you're not really going to know what to expect.
I mean, what's that old thing about, no battle plan survives contact with the enemy.
I mean, old Eisenhower quote or something.
Like that. So you know that there will be things in that that are unexpected, or that we don't we don't know what we don't know.
Exactly. One of those unforeseen things that always seems to pop up. But I think that's a really good recap with kind of the Sentinel program that I was planning on touching with later, but we jumped off with it. So let's turn back to the city a little bit. Obviously now, with the special election in the rearview mirror, we can start looking at the budget process in full. But I think one thing that's going to come hand in hand with that is the appointment of that 7th city council member. As of right now, they haven't, the people of Minot technically have until, I believe, September 2nd to initiate a petition and get the signatures on it again. But I haven't heard any word of any of that going around yet.
Nor have I. But I think you're correct. I think Monday night, presumably I'll be sworn in after the canvassing committee meets on Monday morning. And then, so my council seat will be vacated, and then we will, have, I think it's 15 days. If that gets us to September 2nd, as you stated, then somewhere,
give or take,
give or take a day, whatever that is. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. If there is a petition, then we won't have a 7th member seated until
right around Christmas time.
Yeah, right before the first of the year, somewhere in that holiday time frame. So in the meantime, we have to, if that's the case, or even if we have to go to appointing someone,
sure.
The budget process rolls on. I mean, we have a hard deadline of, I believe it's October 10 to have it done and submitted to the county.
Yeah.
So the budget process rolls on, and the next item in that process will be the president of the council's response letter to the city manager proposed budget, and that's due by Monday. As well. So there's a lot going on Monday.
There is. This meeting on the 18th is going to be a big one.
Yeah. So that's a little bit uncharted waters too, in that I was or am the president of the council, but I've also been acting mayor, and
been a little bit of a gray area over the summer.
And I mean, I've been called many things since April 1st. Mayor, acting mayor,
interim mayor,
President Jantzer.
Anything and everything.
So it's been a little weird, but that's what it's good. It's the way the system works.
Yeah.
And so with regard to this letter, I have been working on that with Vice President of the Council, Lisa Olson, because thinking, okay, there's sort of a waterfall effect with.
If you're to win, then all of a sudden you're no longer the council president, so that's all of a sudden.
Well, and the letter is due on Monday when all that switcheroo stuff happens.
Yeah.
So
the two of you have been working on it together.
We've had some conversations together and worked with Finance Director Lakefield a little bit to get some information. And so, it's my hope that we'll actually probably get that done by Friday.
Perfect.
Have it ready to go.
Any sneak peeks that are available at this point, or
well, no,
it's all kind of just
yeah. I mean, I think certainly, one of the things that I want to make sure that we do is adequately fund city services,
mm-hmm.
and then try to limit property tax,
mm-hmm.
and maintain some economic development funding, which was the recommendation of the economic development ad hoc committee that
mm-hmm.
we just received the report from, and maybe look at a couple of the programs within that to make sure that that we're that they're still necessary and
sure.
And making progress. So I mean, there's a number of things in that regard, and then when you get into all of the each department has its own needs, and so some of those are positions, and there are some recommendations to cut some folks, some positions in the city manager's recommended budget, mm-hmm. and we'll take a close look at those. Some of them are retirements.
Yep,
so then you really have to. It really gives you an opportunity to look at whether you can save refilling that position and do business a little differently, and still get the mission accomplished and get the work done. So we're certainly going to look hard at those.
I know one thing that came from last week's city council meeting on Monday, one of the I think the prior one actually, when that preliminary budget came out, was the increase in the mills for the property tax here in the city. I know there was obviously there's the 3% cap that's coming down from the state, and then there was a little bit of confusion on how that whole process worked out, because in theory, at least, the mills that the city would have preliminarily raised in that proposed budget would have exceeded that cap. Can you explain a little bit how that works?
Sure. So you really have to really look at House Bill 1176 and what's in there. And so I think it's really important for folks to understand kind of how we got here.
Yeah.
And so starting back with the Measure 4 initiated measure, property tax was a big topic.
Yep.
And so we had that election in November last year, and that proposal, which would have simply eliminated property tax in North Dakota and put all of the responsibility for funding local government services on the state legislature, that failed by, I think, a 63 to whatever, 30,
something like that. About 60-40 somewhere in,
Yeah, it was north of 60.
Yeah.
I think it was 63%.
That sounds right.
So pretty sound rejection of that proposal.
Yeah.
But in January, when the legislators got to Bismarck,
property taxes was one of the top things on their mind.
Property tax was one of the, if not the top item, and so the result of that was, the passage of what was termed the governor's bill, and had the support of both leadership of the House and Senate.
Yep.
So in that 1176, if you read it, there are provisions that recognize that we are going through a transition.
Yep.
And that this isn't something where you can snap your fingers, flip a light switch, and it all works, which was sort of the presumption of Measure 4.
Yeah.
So we're going through a transition. So one of the provisions in there is in that legislation is that the subdivision of government has the ability to pick, I believe it's 3 years back of what they want their base year to be.
Yep. And
so that's essentially the provision that's utilized in the city manager's recommended budget. So instead of picking this year, 2025, which was an artificially
deflated,
lower mill levy because of the fact that at the end of the budget process last year, the council passed a $3.5 million pull from general fund reserves in order to provide a tax break.
Yep.
And I mean, that's a wonderful thing to do, but it's not sustainable.
Can't do that long term every year.
You can't do that long term. And so, to sort of put things on a playing field that
a lot more even
from what was realistic.
Yep.
The city finance director and city manager picked FY24 as the baseline, and so that's where we are. I think ultimately, and kind of going back to the discussion that we had a minute ago about what's going to be in the budget proposal, I think we are going to again get to a point where we say, okay, if we want to get back to even, meaning if we want to keep the mill rate or the dollars where
one for one,
I think we're going to have to look at using additional reserves, which is a choice. Those reserves, however, are also one of the possible sources for funds for some of these other kind of looming things that we have, such as refitting the old city hall to better suit the police department.
Yep.
Getting a fire station moved or positioned into Southwest Minot from where it is at Fire Station 1 there on 20th Avenue.
Yep.
And then we know that we have a 100-year-old 3rd Street bridge that is going to get some
revamp done. But
it's going to get it's going to get a tune-up.
Yeah.
But it's still a 100-year-old bridge.
Yeah.
And we went down there and looked at that thing, and the pier that has caused the lane closure is one thing. So you've got a concrete pier with spalling concrete that's coming apart and badly rusted and probably frozen, actually, pivot joint on top of it. So that's that one. But when you look at the one next to it, it's much better. And so the city engineer indicated that when the contractor gets on site to do the repair that's planned for Pier 3, we're also going to have them look at Pier 4 and give us an idea of
what that would look like.
What some, it isn't as bad, but kind of what some repair might do for that.
Yeah, it's kind of, for lack of a better term, the Band-Aid that could get put on that at this stage.
Yeah. So the other thing about reserves is with the cap that we have that we know we're going to have going forward. if we get into a situation where something is needed in order to stay within the cap, there really aren't a lot of other sources of funds to do things with. Mm-hmm. So, Alderman Pittner has just proposed asked for a ordinance to propose a 0.5 cent city sales tax for public safety. Mm-hmm. What will happen with that is anybody's guess, but when the caps were put in place, it is pretty clear that there's a limited number of options for subdivisions of government.
Yeah,
and
sales tax and special assessments are a couple of those
sales
big.
Tax, special assessment, higher user fees,
utility fees across,
franchise fees. I mean, there's all this stuff that's out there, and none of it is necessarily amenable to everybody.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So depending on what your position is. So I guess going back to the big picture, we're in a period of transition. We're not anywhere near where some people would like to be with respect to property tax reform in the state.
Sure.
But again, the governor has stated that his goal is to eventually have legacy fund earnings take over a larger and larger share of covering those
buying down the property taxes.
And it appears that that's a reasonable goal to get to, but it's gonna take some time. And
do you think that's the best way to use the legacy fund earnings?
Well, I think it's
a broad question, but
I think the legislature did some wise things back in 07, 8,
when that oil boom first started.
I think they kind of did three things. They established the legacy fund to put some money away and provide a large amount of money for the future. Mm-hmm. They did a lot of immediate infrastructure improvement particularly out in the western part of the state, where the roads and water systems. I mean, everything that was impacted in the Williston, Watford City, Tioga area, those places, to fix the problems with things out there, and then they directed some money towards some one-time large projects like the Fargo Red River diversion. And then obviously after 2011.
Some of our flood
programs, Mouse River Enhanced Flood Protection, and so I think that was pretty wise of the legislature, and buying down the cost of local government, whether it's cities are one thing, but it's also school districts. It's a real challenge
across the board.
Schools have a tough thing. They have a lot of buildings and infrastructure to maintain, and to get a bond issue passed to build a new school if your community is growing is a challenge. And so, I think
we've been dealing with that firsthand here in Minot the last 2 years.
Well, yeah, at
least indirectly.
It's, obviously, the city is maybe roughly a third of what the property tax dollar goes to, and certainly the school district is a part of that, as well as the county and the park district. So, so yeah, I mean, I think,
excuse me.
I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I did. That'd be nice. But I think, I think the governor's intention has been clearly stated.
Yeah.
There was some talk during the session of, and by the way, remember that the other thing that 1176 does is provide for an increase from $500 to $1,600 for the homestead tax credit.
Yeah.
So that's going to help every homeowner. And so I think, during the legislature, there was also some talk of doing something with other classes of real estate, such as agricultural or commercial.
Yep.
I don't know if anything will come of that. Who knows? But I mean, those are all, as I say, we're in a time of transition.
Yep.
And all of those topics are, buzzing around, and probably will be back in 27 when the legislature comes back. Yeah,
definitely foresee another round of big tax reform coming from the state legislature in 27. Do you think, obviously back in February, the city of Minot sent a letter to the state legislator saying they preferred not to have the 3% cap imposed. As today, as it stands, do you think that 3% cap is too restrictive?
I think there's some issues with maybe how that works in that, if you're a community of 500 people with a small budget, and you need to buy something, it may be tough to work with that 3% cap.
For sure.
And so while the other thing is, though, there is a provision for an exception if a vote of the people approve it.
Yep.
And so the other thing that we as city leaders and elected officials need to figure out is, how we operate within this new system.
Yeah.
Is 3% the right number? Does it make sense as it's applied as a peanut butter spread across every subdivision of government? There are some little different things for school districts, I think, but so I think again, we're in a period of transition. I think this was a good place and a reasonable place to start. And when the legislature takes another look at it, with some input and some experience on the part of the local government entities, maybe it changes.
Sure.
Maybe it's somehow indexed to inflation, or maybe maybe there's a piece in there that is by the way, or something else
leaves
that
some kind of a little bit of wiggle room in there, or something.
Takes care of special circumstances. I wouldn't characterize it as wiggle room, because I don't think anybody wants to. I don't think anybody
that
wants
opens
to throw
up
that out there. But that provides some flexibility.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Wiggle room can open up a box of its own at that point. Back to the new police department, though, or not police department building, the revamp of the police department building, really. Is there any kind of a timeline that's being set forth with that yet? Obviously, the budget process is going to...
Nothing in stone.
Sure.
I mean, we would like it to be... I think everybody on the council, I think, would like it to be sooner rather than later.
For sure.
And the police department would as well. With Chief Fry, newly hired, I think he will have some ideas and give us maybe some guidance on what he'd like to do there. Maybe a month ago now, we took a tour of that facility.
Sure.
We also got a presentation from the PD on kind of one idea for doing some changes and things there that they thought would make sense.
Yeah.
And so to the extent that some of that involves some remodeling and adjusting of space and HVAC
Yep.
and all that kind of stuff. I think we're going to need a architect or somebody who has that kind of skill to come up with a specific plan based on that. So that's probably the next step.
Rather than just going room to room and kind of redoing everything in there.
Well, yeah, because if all you do is if you don't move any pieces around,
Yep.
You don't really get the efficiency that they would like to
Would be
have
helpful
there.
right now, especially, yeah.
That they really need.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense, and hopefully we get to see something going forward with that, something with the fire department as well. Getting that Southwest station moved is another big thing. One other thing I want to talk about a little bit. How is the very initial transition between soon-to-be former city manager Harold Stewart and the interim Tom Joyce been? If there's even anything that has really occurred from it as yet.
Well, as you know, Harold Stewart's contract required 60-day notice.
Yep.
Which he gave, and at the council meeting,
I think last Monday,
week,
yeah.
We reached an agreement with him where he, as it turns out, would have fulfilled his contractual obligation and stayed for the 60 days. Mm-hmm. But it turns out that his new job actually wanted him there earlier if possible. And so, we negotiated a mutual agreement, excuse me, where, he was able to leave and Tom Joyce was able to take over. One of the wonderful things about having an assistant city manager is that that works.
Yeah, he's already had some insight into what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. Harold and Tom work closely together and kept each other informed of, what their different pieces were up to. And so, just like having a mayor and president of the council, if the mayor position is vacated, you have somebody who's capable of taking over that role quite seamlessly, actually. My impression is that Tom stepped up, and there hasn't been any difficulty with that transition.
That's fantastic to hear so far, and I think that's completely expected from Tom Joyce, from what we know about him.
Tom has an interesting background. I mean, he was he had a long Air Force career, where he did a lot of mission support, logistics, those kinds of jobs. And
a lot of administrative things.
And then when he retired, kind of did the same things as a civilian component member. So, for instance, I believe he was the civilian mission support guy down at Fort Carson in Colorado Springs before he came to Minot, which that's a huge operation.
Yeah, massive Air Force base down there.
Yeah, well, that's actually Army.
Oh, is it Army? Okay, is that part of the NORAD complex down there, or is that more?
I'm not familiar enough.
Fair enough. No, you're good. You're good there. Yeah, fair enough.
But it's Army facility.
Fair. Well, no, we look forward to seeing Tom really stepping into that interim role. Be interesting to see what happens going forward with that.
Sure.
But one other thing I kind of want to touch on, a little bit of what the relationship between the city and the county is. How often do you guys communicate with a lot of your different issues, budgetary, whatever it might be? Is there a lot of teamwork that goes on with that?
I mean, it's really two separate
entities. Yeah.
The county commission has their work to do, and a lot of that is out in
the rural parts of the
rural
county.
Parts of the county, and so Minot really doesn't get involved in that or play in that. But there are things where, because Minot is the largest population center in the county,
mm-hmm.
there are things where there are mutual interests or crossover interests. So, for instance, in the recent past, with some of the incentives that have been offered in terms of TIFs or whatever, the county as a taxing entity has to concur on those, and
sure,
those things. The other thing is that there is some flow through with respect to, for instance, property tax assessments.
Sure.
So
those go a little bit more hand in hand.
Our assessor does his work. We have our Board of Equalization in April, where if homeowners have a concern about their appraisal or assessment, then that they can come and visit with us, and if they don't like the decision, they can obviously go to the Board of Equalization at the county as well. Mm-hmm. So there's some things that flow through.
For the county right now, they're working on their budget process as well.
Okay.
And they're right now struggling a little bit to get under that 3% cap, just with some of the natural increases and inflationary costs that have come to the county this year. I believe Miranda Schuler mentioned that there was a 15% increase in like the food costs to the jail and multiple other different issues along those lines. I think they're about $700,000 short of where they would like to be at. If there is some kind of large cut to a program of that nature, could that affect Minot? Whatever it might end up being, whether it's with the jail or whether it's with one of the juvenile programs here in the county.
Sure, it's hard to know, but it would seem obvious that if it's a service or a program, the jail would be a good example. If that's something that where daily rates or those kinds of things need to be increased significantly, obviously that would affect the city as well. Yeah.
No, for sure. And I think that's one thing just to keep looking out for in the near future as the budget process continues, whether it be with the county or you guys at the city, is just how everyone's kind of working within that cap right now. Like you mentioned, it is a transitionary period, and this is just the start of it. And it's really an interesting time to kind of see how all those pieces of the puzzle start to fall into place.
Yeah. Well, and if the intention was to, make local subdivisions work real hard at controlling costs, that's certainly what the effect is going to be, and if we end up in a period of hyperinflation or just dramatically changing prices, such as say the price of fuel or the price of power or those kinds of things, rises dramatically as it has sometimes in the past, that's going to create a bind, obviously.
No, it's one of those things that certainly, and so much of things along those nature are out of our control as well, with cost shares and things like that. It's one of those things you just have to be more reactive to and hope that you have the best reaction that you can at that point.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, Mr. Mayor, thank you again for coming on. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we leave?
No, I guess the only thing I would like to say is, to thank the voters for the confidence they've placed in me, and I'm going to do the best job that I can. And I'm glad the campaign is over.
Fair. 5,500 voters. That was a great turnout for Minot. And
that is interesting because I'll tell you, in following some of the comments on social media, there were comments like, "Oh, gee, only 5,500 voters turned out," and then people would jump in and say, "Hey, here's the deal. In the last park board election, we only had less than 2,000.
1,900 and some.
And in the last mayoral election, only about 4,000.
Yeah.
So actually, 5,500 was an improvement over
For sure.
recent history, and even over a general election.
Yeah.
So
you have to go back to 2018 to find a vote total that surpasses this one.
There we are. And so I was really pleased with that. I mean, one of the things I had hoped was that even though it was a special election, even though it was the beginning of August, right after the fair, even though some people said, "Well, why are we even having this election?"
Mm-hmm.
I was pleased that enough voters came out to make their vote count.
Yep. And it was set in stone. There wasn't a lot of questions about it. And again, it was great to see Minot turn out that way.
Absolutely.
Do you plan on running next year for re-election?
I have already stated publicly that that I will run in the spring. I'm glad to have a few months off from campaigning.
Take a deep breath, get some reprieve.
You sort of you sort of start to feel like a person serving in the U.S. House of Representatives. You got that 2-year term.
Yep.
So the next campaign starts
constantly
the day after
recycling.
The election. Yeah,
yep.
Exactly.
Well, thank you again. Again, any last words you have for us all?
Again, thanks to Minot. We have a lot of great things going on. I was at the grand opening ribbon cutting of Citizens Alley last night.
Yep.
It's a great spot to go hang out or find a beverage and sit down with your book or whatever you want to do there. There was a pickleball match going on last night. We were watching that,
the back and forth.
But a lot of fun. So great place for kids as well.
Fantastic. Well, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for joining us today. For joining me today. I say us like Jonathan's here. It's just me. Thanks for coming on the show. We greatly appreciate it and look forward to seeing you next Monday at City Council.
Okay, great to talk to you. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and head to commercial right now. When we come back, I'm going to go ahead and dive a little bit into that Breijo Plea Deal that just came out. So make sure you stick around. Maybe. Oh, wrong button. Uh-oh, Jonathan. Don't be mad at me.
In the demanding world of oil and gas, precision, safety, and efficiency are non-negotiable. Unmanned operator drone services revolutionizes how you monitor, inspect, and manage your operations. With cutting-edge technology and expert operators, we deliver real-time data, detailed reports, and actionable insights for our valuable clients. Why risk the safety of your team or waste precious time? Our drones access even the most challenging areas with ease, reducing downtime and enhancing safety across your sites. We take the guesswork out of your projects by offering LiDAR, mapping, and inspection services so that your projects stay safe, on budget, and on time. Unmanned operator drone services, where technology meets safety, precision, and efficiency. Contact us today to elevate your operations. Yes, pun intended.
Enjoy Minot's finest authentic Mexican cuisine with a view at Mi Mexico. The rooftop patio is open and ready for you to enjoy a margarita or other cool refreshment along with genuine mouth-watering Mexican entrees. Mi Mexico, South Broadway.
In the demanding world of oil and gas, precision, safety, and efficiency are non-negotiable. Unmanned operator drone services revolutionizes how you monitor, inspect, and manage your operations. With cutting-edge technology and expert operators, we deliver real-time data, detailed reports, and actionable insights for our valuable clients. Why risk the safety of your team or waste precious time? Our drones access even the most challenging areas with ease, reducing downtime and enhancing safety across your sites. We take the guesswork out of your projects by offering LiDAR, mapping, and inspection services so that your projects stay safe, on budget, and on time. Unmanned operator drone services, where technology meets safety, precision, and efficiency. Contact us today to elevate your operations. Yes, pun intended.
And I'm back. Thanks so much, everybody, for sticking around. Sorry I got my buttons mixed around on the ads there. But I just really want to touch on one thing here first, and it's the Daniel Breijo case. It's something that we've followed along fairly well for the last year or so. Obviously, with Mr. Breijo, the situation was he allegedly on Christmas Eve 2023, he committed a murder that was an attempted double murder, and he was jailed for it that evening. It has been reported on. There were some charges that were changed around last summer. And also one thing that it connects to what we've talked about is something with the Dunseith situation. He was one of those first reporting agents to the site on Dunseith when Mr. Hofer, the resident of that facility, came forward with some of the materials that he found. And allegedly, according to an email, Officer Breijo told Mr. Hofer just to get rid of everything. And then you fast forward a little over a year, and that's when his situation on Christmas Eve happened. So now we fast forward to today, and well, last night, actually, I got done with football practice, and it came to light that the plea deal there was a plea deal that came to surface. So the Class AA felony murder charge is being reduced to a manslaughter charge. And also count 4, the terrorizing charge, has been dismissed entirely. That's another big one with that. Counts 2 and 3 are going to stay the same. It's an aggravated assault and reckless endangerment, which are Class B and C felonies. But the big thing with this, it removes the potential for life in prison, and it comes to about a 20-year, 25-year sentence. And the big thing with that, and that really confuses me, is that the surviving victim, who did some interviews with Beck TV on their Dunseith Declassified series, really came to the surface talking about how she wanted to see some of the harshest penalty possible on him. And it just really strikes me as confusing that the state would pursue a plea deal on something like this that appears to be a very open and shut case, when there's, according to her, there's still material from the bullet in her body that could be easily shown to come from the firearm of Officer Breijo. Obviously, we've read her victim statement, and it is incredibly graphic and telling. And it's really just confusing to the extent of why the state wants to go ahead and go through with this. It's not set in stone yet. The judge has to sign off on it. So it's still a work in progress, but it's really a confusing thing. And I look forward to diving into a little bit more detail on it, maybe if not next week, the following week. It's one of those situations that really comes off as it's striking in its detail. It's a drastic shift from what you would expect. I mean, Ward County State's Attorney does try to pursue a lot of plea deals, so that's not something out of the ordinary, but it really feels like with this situation, it feels lazy. I don't know what else to say. You don't want to go to trial with it, so you're just trying to force it through. I don't know how they could say that the murder charge wasn't a slam dunk. The way it sounds, that it is incredibly provable, whether from the victim or the site itself. And it's something that we're certainly going to come back and follow through with. So just want to leave off with that. And again, due to Jonathan being out this Thursday, we won't be live. However, next week, Tuesday, I'll be here with a recap of that next Monday City Council. And then the following Thursday, I believe we're going to have Cole Kruger on, who's going to be talking about the union silos and the silobration that's going to be taking place. So a big shout out to everybody who stuck on and watched. Sherry, I see your comment now. I believe YouTube was live. Looking at it here, I don't know why that didn't show. I apologize if it didn't, but I'm seeing it here, so don't know what that mix-up is. But thank you, everyone, for watching, for commenting. Everyone have a great day, and frankly, have a great week. And thanks again. And make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all the things.